Welcome to the deep dive. Today, you and I are going to unpack a fascinating and I suspect probably quite controversial piece from Give Me Sport.
Oh, yeah. What's this one about?
Well, it dropped just this past March 22nd, 2025. So pretty recent, right after Newcastle United finally, got their hands on some silverware against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup.
Oh, okay. I remember that. Big win for them.
Huge. Anyway, the article. It's ranking the 20 biggest clubs in British football history.
Ooh, okay. That's always a fun one.
Look.
Biggest. What does that even mean, though? It's like impossible to properly define.
Exactly. But to their credit, the article does lay out its methodology, which I think is pretty crucial here. They're looking at domestic achievements, your Premier League, Scottish Premiership titles, FA Cups, that sort of thing, across England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland.
Oh, the silverware. Makes sense.
Then there's longevity, how long a club has consistently been in the top flight.
Okay, staying power.
Yeah. European success, naturally. Champions League, Europa League, even the Conference League now gets a look in.
Got to factor in the continental stage.
And finally, just the sheer size and, passion of the fan base.
Those feel like the right ingredients, I suppose. You need that mix, don't you? Tangible success, being there year after year, bit of European glory. And the fans, that's massive.
Right, and it's important to remember the scope, too. This isn't just England, it's all of Britain. So you're going to get some interesting comparisons popping up.
Absolutely. Like, how do you weigh, say, Rangers' dominance in Scotland against maybe, I don't know, Aston Villa's European Cup win back in the day? It gets complicated fast.
It really does. And the article itself says this. Biggest is subjective. This is just their take. I'm sure we'll have our own disagreements as we go.
No doubt about that. Okay, let's do it. Where do they start?
Okay, kicking things off at number 20, Blackburn Rovers.
Blackburn.
Right.
Championship now, aren't they?
Yep, currently in the championship. Their real glory days were way back, like 1880s and early 1900s. 2 First Division titles then, 6 FA Cups, a Super Cup.
Wow, 6 FA Cups back then. That's serious history.
It is. And then, of course, the modern bit people remember is that Premier League title in 93, 94.
Alan Shearer, Chris
Right.
Sutton.
Yeah.
Feels like a lifetime ago now.
Doesn't it? They got relegated in 2012 and, been in the championship for 13 seasons now. So stats-wise, 3 English championships, about 3,700 First Division points historically, no European titles, 8 domestic cups total.
It's that longevity thing, isn't it? The history is undeniable, especially those early years. But, being out of the top flight for so long, it does affect how you see them now, I think. That Premier League win was huge, but it was a bit of a flash in the pan in the grand scheme of things, perhaps.
Maybe. Okay, number 19 is Derby County, also in the championship.
Derby, Cliffy, the baseball ground.
That's the one. Their last taste of the Premier League was pretty brief. 2007-08, went straight back down. But interestingly, they're 17th on the all-time English First Division points ladder.
Oh, really? That high?
Yeah. They won 2 English titles back in 71, 72, and 74, 75 under Clough, plus an FA Cup in 46 and a Super Cup. And get this stat. A 9-0 league win over Wolves back in 1891.
9-0. Blimey, imagine seeing that.
Crazy. So their stats, 2 English championships, just over 3,300 First Division points, no European silverware, and just 2 domestic cups listed in the summary.
Derby's bigness feels very tied to that specific Clough era, doesn't it? Those 2 league titles were massive achievements. But like Blackburn, they've spent a long time outside the top flight recently. It's that historical weight versus, current reality. How much does that past glory count today?
It's the big question. Number 18. Sheffield Wednesday,
Hey.
another championship club.
And Owls, another big old club with a passionate fan base.
Definitely. They were actually founder members of the Premier League, but they haven't been in the top flight since 2000. That's, 24 years now?
Wow, that long. Yeah, that's a significant absence.
It is. But they do have 4 First Division titles, got them back-to-back twice, actually. Early 1900s and then again around 1930.
4 titles, that's proper history.
Yeah. So, 4 English championships, over 3,500 First Division points, no European titles, 5 domestic cups.
Again, similar theme. Massive club historically, founder member status means something,
Yeah.
but 2.5 decades outside the Premier League. In this era where the Premier League is everything globally, that's going to hurt their standing in a biggest list, you'd think.
It seems likely. Okay, moving up. Number 17, Leicester City.
The Foxes. Premier League survivors now.
Yep, currently in the Prem, and you just can't talk about Leicester without mentioning that. That miracle season, can you? 2015-16, 5,000 to 1 odds. Just unbelievable.
Still incredible to think about.
Yeah.
The ultimate fairy tale, wasn't it? Changed everything for them.
Absolutely. And they've built on it a bit, too. Won the FA Cup in 2021, Super Cup the year after. Before the title, they had 3 League Cups spread out over the years.
Right, so they've added some recent silverware, which helps.
Yeah. The stats. 1 English championship, the big one. Just under 2,800 First Division points historically. No European titles. 6 domestic cups.
Leicester's interesting because that one Premier League title carries such disproportionate weight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't just a win, it was like a global event. It put them on the map in a way that maybe even multiple FA Cups wouldn't have. So how much does one truly iconic modern achievement count compared to, say, Sheffield Wednesday's 4 titles from ages ago? It's tricky.
Very tricky. Okay. Number 16, Nottingham Forest.
Forest, back in the Premier League, and the Clough connection again.
Indeed. And here's the crazy stat for Forest. They have more European titles, 3, than top-flight league championships, just 1.
That is amazing, isn't it? 2 European Cups.
Back-to-back, no less. Late 70s, early 80s. That era was insane for them. 2 European Cups, the league title, 4 League Cups, a UEFA Super Cup. Just incredible.
Winning the European Cup twice in a row, I mean, that puts you in seriously elite company. For a club with only 1 domestic league title, it's genuinely staggering.
Totally. So stats. 1 English championship, just over 3,000 First Division points, those 3 massive European titles, and 7 domestic cups.
Forest's European pedigree is their trump card, isn't it? It gives them a bigness that maybe belies their domestic league record. Those Lions are legendary. Sure, they spent ages outside the top flight, but those 2 European Cups, they're forever. You can't take that away.
Definitely carries huge weight. Number 15, Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Wolves, yeah. Solid Premier League side these days.
Yep. They had a really good cup history, particularly the 50s through the 70s, Stan Cullis era and all that.
Right. Pioneers in European football early on, too, weren't they? The floodlit friendlies.
Exactly. Though their last major silverware was the League Cup back in 1980, so quite a while ago. They definitely bounced around the divisions over the years, but seem pretty settled in the Prem now. 7th straight season.
That's decent stability for them.
Historically, 3 league championships, 4 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, 4 Super Cups. So the stats read. 3 English championships, over 3,600 First Division points, no European titles listed here, but 10 domestic cups.
Wolves feel like a really solid, historic English club. Strong presence through the 20th century, maybe not quite hitting the absolute heights consistently, but always there or thereabouts for long periods. That domestic trophy haul is respectable, definitely speaks to a strong footballing heritage.
Okay, number 14, Sunderland.
Ah, the Black Cats. Championship now. Tough times recently.
Yeah, it's been rough for their fans. Those back-to-back relegations, dropping to League One, ouch.
Brutal. But they're a massive club, support-wise.
Always have been.
Totally. And historically, they were huge. 6 First Division titles, 5 of those were way back, late 1890s, early 1900s, then another one in 1936.
6 titles. See, people forget that. They were a real powerhouse early on.
They really were. Their last big trophy, though, was the FA Cup in 1973, that famous win against Leeds. Bob Stokoe, Jim Montgomery's save.
Yeah.
Iconic FA Cup moment.
Definitely. Now they're focusing on young players, seem to be doing okay in the championship. Stats. 6 English championships, a really high points tally. Historically, 45-60 First Division points, no European silverware, and 3 domestic cups.
Sunderland's a fascinating case. Those 6 league titles are massive, historically. And the fan base is huge and incredibly loyal, which has to count for something in bigness, right? Even through the terrible times. That 1973 FA Cup maintains a certain legendary status, too. But again, recent history hasn't been kind.
It hasn't. Now, this is interesting. Number 13, Newcastle United.
Okay, the Magpies. And crucially, above Sunderland in this list.
Exactly. The article specifically says they're ranked higher due to, quote, more success and top-flight longevity.
Okay. The eternal Northeast debate.
Always.
Yeah.
Newcastle's history, 4 league titles, also early 1900s mostly, 6 FA Cups, 1 Super Cup.
Decent haul. Pre-war dominance, mostly.
Right. But the big news, as we mentioned, is that Carabao Cup win in March 2025. Beat Liverpool in the final. First major trophy since 1955.
That was absolutely massive for them. Ending that drought, you can't overstate how important that felt, especially beating Liverpool. And didn't they beat Arsenal on the way, too?
They did. So that trophy is huge for their current standing. Stats, 4 English championships, A very healthy 539 First Division points, still no major European title according to this list, and now 8 domestic cups.
That Carabao Cup win really changes the narrative for Newcastle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With the new ownership, the ambition, finally getting that silverware validates a lot. Their history is strong. The fan base is arguably one of the most passionate anywhere. That trophy just cements their place as a truly big club again, maybe.
Could be a turning point. Number 12, West Ham United.
The Hammers always feel like a proper London club.
Yeah, consistent Premier League team. Their main glory years were probably the 60s and 70s. Won the European Cup, Winners' Cup then, 3 FA Cups, a Super Cup.
Bobby Moore lifting the World Cup as a West Ham player.
Yeah.
That's iconic.
Absolutely. And more recently, they got that European silverware too, the UEFA Conference League in 2023.
Yeah, that was a great moment for them and David Moyes.
Yeah.
A proper European trophy.
Definitely. Stats, 0 English championships, which is maybe surprising to some, around 3,400 First Division points, 2 European titles now, and 4 domestic cups.
West Ham are interesting. No league titles, but those FA Cups, the 2 European trophies, and that strong identity, the Academy of Football thing, Bobby Moore, it all adds up. The Conference League win was important, I think, showing they can still compete and win things in the modern era, keeps them relevant.
Okay, just outside the top 10 at number 11, Leeds United.
Leeds, Elland Road, another club with immense passion, championship currently.
Yep, pushing for promotion. Famous connections, obviously discovering Cantona first, that massive rivalry with Man United.
And the Revie era. That was their peak, wasn't it? Proper force in the 60s and 70s.
Absolutely. That's when most of their trophies came. 3 league titles, 1 FA Cup, 1 League Cup, 1 Super Cup. They had that recent spell back in the Prem under Bielsa, which was exciting but didn't last.
Yeah, Bielsa ball was fun while it lasted. Shame they couldn't sustain it.
It was. Stats. 3 English championships, just under 3,200 First Division points, no major European titles listed here, though they reached finals, and 4 domestic cups.
Leeds' bigness feels very tied to that Revie period and the sheer intensity of the club and its support. Even outside the Premier League, they feel like a big club, don't they? That history, the rivalries, the atmosphere, it counts for a lot. Being in the championship definitely holds them back in rankings like this, but the potential is always there.
Definitely. Okay, breaking into the top 10. And number 10 takes us north of the border, Rangers.
Rangers, wow.
Yeah.
55 league titles. That's just
It
staggering.
really is the most in Scottish football, just pipping Celtic by 1. Obviously, they had that massive setback with administration in 2012, dropping down to the 4th tier.
Yeah, the journey back up was remarkable in itself. Shows the size of the club, really.
Totally. Returned to the top flight in 2016. Their domestic cup record is also insane. 34 Scottish Cups, 28 Scottish League Cups, even a Challenge Cup from the lower leagues. Plus, crucially, that European Cup Winners' Cup win in 1972.
Barcelona 72. Yeah, a huge moment in their history.
So the numbers, 55 Scottish championships, a massive 800 and 944 top flight points in Scotland, that 1 European title, and an incredible 63 domestic cups.
The sheer volume of domestic success for Rangers is almost hard to comprehend from an English perspective. That level of dominance, even within Scotland, is remarkable. The European trophy adds that extra layer too. Their bigness is undeniable, even with the context of the Scottish League maybe not being as strong overall as the Premier League.
Right. Now, number 9 sees us back in England, Tottenham Hotspur.
Spurs. Okay. Always feel like they should be winning more, don't they?
That's the narrative, isn't it? Especially in recent years under Pochettino, they played great football, but just couldn't get over the line for a major trophy.
Yeah, that Champions League final felt like a missed opportunity.
Historically, though, they were a really strong cup side, especially between the 50s and 90s. They've won 2 league titles, the double in 61, 8 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 7 Super Cups, 2 UEFA Cups, and a European Cup Winners' Cup.
That's actually a really impressive list when you lay it out. 3 European trophies, too. People forget that sometimes.
They do. But the kicker is, their last major silverware was the League Cup back in 2008. That's a long drought for a club of their stature and spending.
It really is. And it hangs over them, doesn't it?
It does. Stats. 2 English championships, over 5,300 First Division points, those 3 European titles, and 19 domestic cups.
Spurs are a funny one. The history is strong, the stadium's amazing, the fan base is huge, consistently in the top 6. But that lack of recent silverware definitely impacts how they're perceived in terms of bigness right now. Its potential versus actual recent achievement.
Yeah, that sums it up well. Okay, number 8, back to Scotland. Celtic.
Celtic, and just ahead of Rangers in this list.
Interesting. Yeah, the article suggests it's mainly because Celtic have never been relegated from the Scottish top flight. That unbroken run.
Okay, that's a factor, I suppose. Consistency?
Their domestic cup haul is identical to Rangers. 63 total, 42 Scottish Cups, 21 Scottish League Cups. But the really big one for Celtic, the jewel in the crown, is the 1967 European Cup win, the Lisbon Lions.
The first British team to win it. Yeah, that's monumental, truly historic.
Absolutely. They have 54 league titles, one less than Rangers, but apparently the most points ever in Scottish top flight history. And their recent dominance has been incredible, only lost the title once in the last 13 years, I think.
Pretty much, yeah. Rangers stopped the 10-in-a-row attempt, but Celtic have largely dominated recently.
With that, 54 Scottish championships, a colossal 900 and 110 top flight points, that one legendary European title, and 63 domestic cups.
Celtic's case is built on that sustained domestic dominance, similar to Rangers, but crucially topped off by that 1967 European Cup. For many, being the first British club to win the big one gives them an edge in historical bigness, even with one fewer league title. It's an iconic achievement that resonates beyond Scotland.
Makes sense. Right, into the top 7. Number 7 is Everton.
Everton. The Toffees. Wow, 7th. That feels high, given their recent struggles. But maybe not, historically.
Historically, it makes sense. They're actually 3rd in the all-time Premier League points table, believe it or not.
Are they? Wow, okay. Shows their consistency over the Premier League era, even without winning it.
Exactly. And before that, in the 20th century, they were hugely successful. 9 league titles, 5 FA Cups, 9 Super Cups, and a European Cup Winners' Cup in '85.
That mid-'80s team was brilliant. Should have won more in Europe if not for the Heysel ban.
Definitely. But yeah, the problem is no major honors since the FA Cup in 1995. That's a really long time. Plus the financial issues and relegation scraps recently.
Yeah, it's felt precarious for them lately. A long way from those glory days.
It has. Stats. 9 English championships, a huge 6,880 First Division points total, that one European title, and 14 domestic cups.
Everton are a testament to historical weight, aren't they? 9 league titles is a massive haul. Their consistent top-flight presence for most of football history is significant. But that recent lack of success and the off-field problems definitely tarnish the bigness factor in the modern game. It's a club caught between a glorious past and a difficult present.
Well put. Number 6, Aston Villa.
Villa, another club with a European Cup. That's going to count for a lot.
Absolutely. Their trophy cabinet is impressive. 7 league titles, 7 FA Cups, 5 League Cups, 1 Super Cup, 1 UEFA Super Cup, and yes, the big one, the European Champion Clubs Cup in 1982.
Rotterdam 82, Peter Wythe. Iconic.
Totally. And they also have the 5th most points in English top-flight history, more than Man City, Tottenham, and Chelsea, interestingly.
Wow. That really puts their historical standing into perspective.
It does, and they've had a real resurgence recently under Unai Emery, haven't they? Got into the Champions League places last season. Currently 9th, but definitely looking up.
Emery's done a fantastic job there. They feel like a club on the rise again.
Yeah. Stats. 7 English championships, over 6,100 First Division points, 2 European titles, the big one and the Super Cup, and 13 domestic cups.
Villa's European Cup win is just massive. It elevates them into a really select group of British clubs. Combined with their strong domestic record over the years and that high all-time points tally, it makes a very strong case for their bigness. And the fact they're competing again near the top now adds to that.
Okay, cracking the top 5. Number 5, Chelsea.
Chelsea. Right. The Roman Abramovich era basically redefined the club, didn't it?
Completely. Turned them into serial winners. They literally won everything possible during his time.
Every single trophy. It's an incredible list.
2 Champions Leagues, 2 Cup Winners' Cups, 1 pre-Abramovich, 6 top-flight titles, 5 under Roman, 8 FA Cups, 5 League Cups, 4 Super Cups, 2 UEFA Super Cups, 2 Europa Leagues, and a Club World Cup. Just wow.
It's an absolutely staggering collection of silverware, especially compressed into, what, less than 20 years?
Pretty much. Obviously, a lot have changed since he left. New ownership, lots of player turnover, still waiting for a trophy under the new regime, but showing promise under Enzo Maresca now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can maintain that winning habit long term.
Stats, 6 English championships, over 5,300 First Division points, a hefty 9 European titles of various types, and 17 domestic cups.
Chelsea's modern bigness is undeniable, built almost entirely on that incredible run of success in the 21st century. They might not have the century-long history of titles like some others, but the sheer volume and quality of trophies won recently, especially the 2 Champions Leagues, puts them right up there. They became a global force very quickly.
They certainly did. Number 4, Manchester City.
Man City. And, probably the team defining this current era of English football.
Absolutely. The Guardiola era has just been relentless, hasn't it? 6 of the last 7 league titles, I think, breaking records left, right, and center. That 100-point season.
And finally getting the Champions League, the treble. Only the second English team to do it.
Huge moment for them. Since the Sheikh Mansour takeover in 2008, it's just been trophy after trophy. The article says 24 trophies since then, including 8 Premier Leagues and that Champions League.
Incredible return on investment, you could say.
Definitely. But it's worth remembering they did have success before the takeover, too. 2 First Division titles back in the day, FA Cups, League Cups, even a European Cup Winners' Cup in 1970.
Yeah, they weren't nobody. They had history. But the scale of success now is just on a different planet.
Completely. Stats. 10 English championships now, 8 in the PL era, nearly 5,700 First Division points, 4 European titles, including the recent big one, and 22 domestic cups.
Man City's recent dominance is just overwhelming. It's redefined what sustained success looks like in the Premier League. That Champions League win cemented their place among the absolute elite. While maybe lacking the historical depth of the top 3 for some, their current power and trophy haul make them impossible to ignore as one of the very biggest clubs right now.
No doubt. Okay, the top 3. Taking the bronze medal position at number 3, Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Okay.
13 league titles. Record FA Cup winners. Huge history.
Massive history. Their total domestic trophy haul is 46. According to the article. So 13 English championships, a record 14 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, 17 Super Cups, and a European Cup Winners' Cup back in '94.
The invincible season under Wenger.
Yeah.
Still unforgettable.
Truly unique. But yeah, no Premier League title since then, since 2004. That's over 20 years now.
It's a long time for a club like Arsenal. They've won FA Cups since quite a few, actually.
They have, yeah. 5 FA Cups and 6 Super Cups since 2004. So still picking up silverware, just not the biggest ones consistently. Trying hard under Arteta, obviously, but keep running into that Man City roadblock.
Yeah, tough time to be challenging City.
Stats. 13 English championships, a huge 70-99 First Division points, that 1 European title, and 33 domestic cups listed.
Arsenal's bigness is built on that deep history, the stylish football they became known for under Wenger, and that incredible domestic cup record. 13 league titles is a massive number. The lack of a Champions League trophy is maybe the one thing missing compared to the 2 above them. And the long wait for a league title hurts a bit now, but they are undeniably one of the giants of English football.
Absolutely. Number 2, the runner-up, Liverpool.
Liverpool, right. 19 league titles, 6 European Cups. Phenomenal record.
Phenomenal is the word. The article notes they have the most points in English top-flight history overall. And their European pedigree is, as it says, the best of any British club.
6 European Cups Champions Leagues. That's just incredible. Puts them level with Bayern Munich, ahead of Barcelona, proper European royalty.
Totally. The full list is just immense. 19 league titles, 8 FA Cups, a record 10 League Cups, 16 Super Cups, 4 UEFA Super Cups, 3 UEFA Cups, a Club World Cup, and those 6 big European ones.
Just relentless winning across decades. And moments like Istanbul 2005, pure legend.
Exactly. Stats. 19 English championships, a massive 7,282 First Division points, 14 European titles in total, and 34 domestic cups.
Liverpool's combination of huge domestic success and unparalleled European achievement for a British club makes them a clear contender for the top spot. The history, the fan base, Anfield, the iconic managers and players, they tick pretty much every box for bigness. 19 titles and 6 European Cups is an incredibly powerful combination.
It really is, which leaves only one club at number 1, Manchester United.
Man United. 20 league titles, the Ferguson era, yeah, you can see the arguments.
It's a strong argument. The article highlights how Sir Alex Ferguson just completely dominated English football, taking them from 7 league titles to a record 20, plus 2 Champions League trophies under him.
An unprecedented period of dominance, really. Just relentless winning for almost 2 decades.
And they back it up with domestic cups, too. 13 FA Cups, 6 League Cups, a record 21 Super Cups.
Strong cup record to go with the league titles.
The flip side, of course, is the post-Ferguson era. No league title since he left in 2013. They've definitely struggled to consistently challenge at the very top of the Premier League since then.
Yeah, it's been a much tougher period for them. Lots of managerial changes. Haven't quite found that magic formula again.
The stats are still formidable. 20 English championships, the record. Over 6,700 First Division points. 7 European titles overall. 3 European Cups Champions Leagues. Cup Winners' Cup. Europa League Super Cups, and a leading 40 domestic cups.
Manchester United's case rests heavily on that incredible Ferguson era, which propelled them to become the most successful English club in terms of league titles. Add in the treble win, the global brand recognition, which is arguably the biggest in the world. Even with the recent struggles, that historical weight and sheer number of major trophies, especially league titles, makes them number one for many. That sustained dominance is hard to argue against.
It is. And, it's always interesting to see the fan comments on articles like this. The piece mentions people querying specific things like, why aren't Leeds Fair's Cup wins counted as European titles? Should Celtic's European Cup count for more? Is there too much recency bias towards City and Chelsea?
Exactly. It just goes to show how personal these rankings are. Everyone weighs the criteria differently. Is a European Cup worth 5 FA Cups? Is a title from 1905 worth the same as one from 2025? There's no right answer, is there?
Not at all. So there we have it. Give me sports view. Man United at 1, Liverpool 2, Arsenal 3, all the way down to Blackburn at 20, based on trophies, longevity, Europe, and fans. It's one take.
A pretty well-argued take, using clear criteria, and even if we can pick holes in the weighting or the specific rankings, bigness is just complicated. It's history, it's recent success, it's fan base, it's cultural impact. It's everything mixed together.
It really is. And that leads to a final thought for everyone listening. Given how much football has changed over, 130-odd years, different rules, different economics, different global reach, is it even truly possible to objectively rank clubs across all those different eras?
That's a big question. Can you really compare the Busby Babes to Guardiola's City in any meaningful way beyond just counting trophies?
Exactly. And maybe more personally for the listener, when you think about what makes a football club big,
Right.
What's the single most important factor for you? Is it the number of league titles? Is it that European Cup win? Is it the size of the stadium roar? Something to ponder.
Definitely something to mull over.
Right.
It's been fun diving into this list, though.
It has indeed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll catch you on the next one.
It's what I say. It's what I say. It's what I say. It's what I say.